Hey everybody, this is Landon Swan and Andy Swan's joining me. We are the co-founders of LikeFolio. Who's having fun in the markets right now? This is other than COVID, I've not received more phone calls from friends than the last few days, and it's been pretty interesting. I mean, this is whipsawing action both directions. We just kind of want to talk a little bit about it. I like this cartoon because that's kind of how I feel he's acting right now. I mean, the pain is real in the U.S. or it was, depending on what day you're watching this. But the pain is more everywhere else, and so it's an interesting battle of stamina here.
Yeah, I think the for me, the big takeaway out of this is if you didn't sell during that big move down in those scary times, and then today, as we're recording this, Trump has put a 90-day pause on almost all of the tariffs other than China or something like that. The market is ripping. The Nasdaq's up 10%, and we're back to levels that we saw last week. And
Right.
if you just check in every week, you're not nearly as scared as the people who check in every day. And so my main thing, Landon, if we go to the look at the volatility index, fear got extremely high. The market volatility is the VIX index, measures fear levels. It measures volatility, implied future volatility levels, and you can see the spike that it has had, showing that fear and implied volatility is extremely high. What this time period teaches me, and I learn this lesson all the time, is leverage can be a complete disaster. If you're not leveraged and you just own what you own and you know
Right.
what you own and you believe in the companies or the assets that you own, then this has been annoying at best, right?
Right.
If you're levered, if you don't know what you own, if you're just trading, if you're just in and out and trying to get a feel for things, this whipsaw action has probably decimated you because it's very difficult to survive in that type of environment. And so I think that for me, Landon, I think we're going to talk about the opportunities in a minute, but on the risks side of things, I think it's really important to use this as an opportunity to once again tell people that if you're going to use leverage, you need to do it in a really risk-defined way, which is something we teach very well in our earnings season pass product. But you've got to be defined risk when you use leverage. You don't, if you just on margin and you get any moment like this where the VIX goes up to 50, it's going to take you out. It just is.
It is. And you're going to be constantly chasing and second guessing. Whereas, if you just, as far as an investor goes, if you just own via cash shares, then you can hold forever. And, I think a good thought experiment during sell offs like these is it more likely or less likely that these stocks that I own are going to be worth more in 5 years than they are right now?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not 100% lock. I mean, you can go back on the 50-year charts and you can see some tough, decades, but it's a pretty good percentage that they're going to be higher than they are today. So it's a very stress-free kind of way of holding, except for if you're months away from retirement or something like that, and you're counting on some income. That can be different, I guess, but um, you're not selling all the day you retire. So, I think it's still just as good.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I totally agree. And I think knowing what you own is the critical component of that, and believing in what you own and having a purpose for your money, I think is incredibly important. Your money has a purpose. There's an intent behind the way you use your money. You're not just trying to turn it into more money. That's ultimately the goal, but you're doing it in a way by placing it in a fiduciary, disciplined way into things that you think are going to increase in relative value uh, to everything else. And so, with that, let's let's go into, because when the last time I think the VIX was this high, Landon, was during the COVID uh, massive sell off that happened when no one was sure if there would be an economy anymore. Entire countries, entire economies were shutting down. And this is one of those moments that put LikeFolio very much on the map. March 23rd, 2020. Landon, walk us through what was happening and what we did at that point, because I think it's really critical for people to understand the way that we think at LikeFolio is very different than what you read in the headlines.
It is, and everything was selling off, and it was furious. I mean, the selling was furious. It was going down very quickly. And what's interesting was we saw that some companies were actually benefiting or had somewhat strength during the lockdowns, and they were showing not only that they wouldn't be affected that badly, but maybe they would actually do better. But their stocks were selling off just like everybody else's. We identified 20 of these companies, put out a report on March 23rd, and 20 for 20 went up significantly over the next 6 months. And that was one of the best reports that we've put out. And you can see the percentages here over the 6 months. I'll just take one of the biggest ones as an example, Wayfair. All of a sudden people were staying home. They were talking about changing their surroundings, upgrading their living room and their kitchen, buying stuff on Wayfair benefited from the lockdowns. That's why it went up 700% after our call. And so what we're doing now is we're looking for those same opportunities. Yes, Trump did pause things for 90 days, but he could unpause them next week. Who knows, right?
Right.
We have no idea what's going to happen with these tariffs. And if there's more of this throwing out the baby with the bathwater type mentality, there's a lot of good companies that are going to be just fine through tariffs. And if they're being sold off just like all the rest, we're going to put out a report as well. So we're already working on that. We're looking for those opportunities. I don't know that it's going to be 20 companies. It might be 5. It might be 30. Who knows? We're going to find the ones that we find. But we'll be ready if the tariff craziness continues. We'll be ready. Make sure you check your inbox, because this could be the second time that LikeFolio nails it on the big oversell because of macro unpredictability.
Yeah, I mean, even with today's move, and we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon at like 3 o'clock Eastern. So even with today's move of 7% up in the S&P 500 and 9% up in the Nasdaq, even with that, we're still down over 10% from highs that were hit
Right.
in the middle of February. So there's still stocks that are very much oversold. And what we're going to do, and what Landon just talked about, is just like we did with COVID, what we're going to continue looking for are those companies whose customers, whose underlying businesses are strengthening in the face of all of this, while their stock is being sold out with the bathwater that Landon mentioned, with the full market, and identify those as opportunities to buy. And so yeah, I think it will be within the next 2 days. We're honing in on some names right now. We're discovering some opportunities. We're vetting them. Today's market action is throwing a little bit of a wrench into things, but I think we're going to have some names out to you guys in the next few days that have that COVID report type of opportunity level, because they're so sold off, and the um, customers are still flocking to them, and the underlying business metrics are only expanding, potentially even as a result of some of this crazy volatility in the global economy. And so uh, be on the lookout for that, because I think it's not quite COVID level opportunity, like sell off, but it's gotten pretty close, and there's going to be some more opportunities. So I think the first report will be coming out in the next 2 to 3 days. We'll have some great stocks in there, and then I think that we'll be able to, given what we've seen out of the administration so far and this volatility, I don't think it stops here. And I think we're going to have multiple opportunities to put out these types of reports as we see them and as markets fluctuate. So stay tuned. Don't get levered. Don't start using margin. Do start being risk defined. I think it's a perfect time to trade earnings. If you haven't traded earnings with risk defined options and that level of leverage, shoot us an email, Andy@LikeFolio.com or Landon@LikeFolio.com. This is the environment to be active. When volatility is high, activity should be high, and defined risk type of leverage should be what you're trading with. So email us if you haven't gotten onto earnings season pass. You got to get onto that, and we'll get you hooked up. But
yeah, week 1 kicks off next week.
Yeah, Sunday night, the
This is
first.
the time to start. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Week 1 kind of a warm up. It includes Netflix though, and it's a nice warm up into the bigger weeks that are following. So absolutely get on there. Andy@LikeFolio.com, Landon@LikeFolio.com. Love to hear from you. Love to get you started.
awesome. And be looking for that report. All the members, if you're a member, you'll get it. If you're just watching this for free, you're not going to get the reports that get you the big opportunities. But we still appreciate you watching, and we'll still keep sharing this knowledge with you. So stay cool, be cool. Realize the other guys don't have the cards. We have the cards. LikeFolio has the cards. You have the cards, and we're all going to be all right out of this. So appreciate all of you.
Thanks, guys.